Hey everybody, so as some of you may know, this is McMaster Divinity College, and McMaster Divinity College is a Christian seminary that's situated right in the middle of this beautiful campus of McMaster University. And McMaster University is a public university. It encompasses all of the different disciplines that most universities encompass. And when it was originally founded years and years ago, it was founded really as the seminary, the Divinity College was integral, was central to the beginning of and the founding of McMaster Divinity School. And then the university and the Divinity College broke off. And now increasingly, this is kind of an anomaly, being this Christian theological seminary on this public university campus. As we're walking this way, we're walking to the front door of the chapel of the Divinity College, which sits roughly around the center of campus. As I said, in the late 50s and 60s, when this chapel was built, it was a central part of the campus. Increasingly, unfortunately, that's probably less and less true. McMaster University and its relationship with its Divinity College in many ways typify some of the shifts that have taken place in North American and Canadian culture in the last number of years. The seminary, the Divinity College, which was once a key part of the university, has increasingly become kind of a unique little enclave on campus, although it still sits here right in the middle of this beautiful university campus. This idea of this shift in culture from where the church played an integral part of society, where increasingly it finds itself on the margins, is the focus of our unit this week in our course. And we're going to do, as one of our objectives talks about, analyze the context in which we find ourselves doing ministry, and both in the broad contours and even in some of the specific contours in our own particular ministries. And so we're going to think this week about this shift in culture that some would say is a shift from kind of a Christendom culture to an increasingly post-Christendom culture. So to help us think about that this week, I'm going to post a couple of lectures with some thinking about that, and those are going to come up and you can partake of those. But also you'll see some other resources to help us think about that. One of the resources that you'll see, a link to click on, is a YouTube video by David Fitch, who's a theology professor at Northern Seminary in Chicago. Fitch gives a really great little encapsulation of both Christendom and post-Christendom. He gives a nice description of both and sort of the shift that's taken place between those two kind of cultural realities. So I want you to watch that video of Fitch, and then I'm going to invite you to think about how that sits with you and whether you kind of like or disagree or agree with his description. And then there's an article by a Canadian sociologist named Reginald Bibby, who's done some work, a lot of work actually, on religion in Canada. I think it has implications for North America too. And it connects very well with Joel Thiessen's book that we're also reading in the class. If you know from maybe having touched into Thiessen's book, Thiessen has a fairly negative view of sort of the future of Christianity and the church in North American culture. But Bibby offers a bit of a different view, and I want you to read that article. You'll understand why he comes up with a different view. But his view of sort of this idea of calling Canadian culture, at least post-Christian, he thinks it's a little too hasty, and his article offers kind of a different way of thinking about things. And then finally, there's just a short little blog post that I want you to read. It's actually, I wrote, is a response to Bibby's article, and so that's a kind of my take on some things in response to Bibby's thinking, and that also ties back into some of the lecture material that I'll be offering this week. So this week we're thinking about post-Christendom, we're thinking about cultural context, we're thinking about what that means for us in terms of the broad contours, and then some of the discussion questions that I've posted, and it's on our discussion board that I'm inviting you to interact with each other about. Also invites you to think about some of the ramifications for your own context as well. So post on that discussion board after you've had a chance to read and think through and take in some of these materials, and then as the directions tell you, I'm asking you to also respond to at least 2 of your fellow students' posts, and let's interact together around these things as we think about the context in which we find ourselves today in the North American culture. Thanks guys, look forward to interacting with you online this week. Thanks.